Is your business protected against the threat of malicious litigation and frivolous lawsuits? Are you sinking company profits into marketing campaigns that do nothing to contribute to the growth of your business? Vital Business Sense provides practical business perspectives that uniquely emphasize both legal and media marketing strategies to protect and ensure the longevity of your business. And whether you're trying to provide a startup business with some level of stability, or an established business with foolproof asset and estate protection, or simply attempting to get a better return for your business marketing dollars, Bill Bernard and Rick Moscoso will expose potential pitfalls to ensure the security and growth of your business, free from unwanted expense and the threat of litigation. You'll learn how to implement marketing and protection tools equal to those used by today's most successful corporations. Let's join Bill and Rick for today's Vital Business Sense show.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're here for another Bottle Business Sense show on this Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. To all of our viewers and listeners, we bid you a good morning and a prosperous week. We are here, as always, to discuss business issues with the small business owner. And I'm one of your hosts, Bill Bernard. My co-host on the other end is Rick Moscoso. How are you today, Rick?
Good morning there, Bill. How are you? I'm doing great myself. The weather's been great here in Southern California. Should be outside enjoying this, but we will shortly.
Well, I'm in the studio. I'm in our studios in Hawaii, and I'm here trying a case. A trust contest matter, so I will be back toward the end of this month, so looking forward to seeing you back in the studio then. But in any event, today we have a program that's going to kind of center on what has become, unfortunately, very popular in today's social media world, and that is common scams that are on the networking, social networking sites. Because as we all know, many of us, in fact, almost all of us, I would venture to say, advertise on social media today. And this is important, Rick, isn't it? Because our show, we've said, the Bottle Business Sense show, is premised on making sure your business is protected and then marketing your business. Well, this show is interesting because it involves both of those directly. We want to protect your business so you don't succumb to any false advertising or any fraud, and we want to make sure it's marketed correctly, because when you're out there marketing on the internet, you want to make sure you can tell the good from the bad, right?
Yeah, absolutely correct. As marketing has moved more to a digital medium, and more people are looking to social networks to create credibility. The unscrupulous crowd also follows, because they know that's where people are going to be. So there's a few topics here that we're going to talk about that are very prevalent. I know you and I have seen it, and I'm sure most of our audience has seen and experienced some of this stuff.
Right. Well, to start off from an employment standpoint, the things that I notice the most, and I've seen this on Craigslist, and believe it or not, a lot of employers are using Craigslist to advertise for employees. And one of the things I've noticed is there will be a lot of scams on Craigslist about various jobs and opportunities, and where you can work from home using your computer, or where you can be employed with a particular company and only work solely from whatever location you're at, and they basically ask you to allow them access to your checking account so they can deposit your paychecks or whatever money you're supposedly going to earn directly into your account. Please stay away from that. That's a scam to defraud you and to steal your money. So, that's the first thing that I notice right off the top. You may think that is something that doesn't happen very often, but it does. And believe me, when you're desperate enough to want a job, sometimes you fall victim to those kinds of advertisements.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because first of all, I wouldn't think of advertising myself a job position on Craigslist, but because there's a little bit of a perception out there that um, that things like this are more prevalent on Craigslist than any other platform that's out there. So, like Bill said, take be cautious when you're looking at that. Make sure you do your due diligence to make sure that it is a credible, offering.
Well, I would say
And
this. I would say two things, Rick, real quick. I would say number one, Craigslist is where you see it typically, but it doesn't mean it can't happen on other sites. Especially now, as like for example, and I don't know of one in particular, but let's say LinkedIn now. I don't know if people realize, but LinkedIn is becoming more and more geared toward people who want you to join their groups. And so you have to be careful of what group you're joining and what it entails. But that said, um, I would just say stay away from any kind of an advertisement that asks you for personal information. Okay, uh, and I mean social security numbers, because if they're going to want you to work from home off the computer, you're going to be an independent contractor. They're going to 1099 you. They can send you the 1099 when and if you develop a relationship with them by getting to know them, coming in for an interview. Just don't do anything straight off the internet and give them personal information without going in and meeting the company and getting some facts and investigating them. And especially stay away from any advertisement that asks for your personal banking information. So that said, what are some of the other things that we need to be concerned about on the internet today, Rick, in terms of
well,
scams?
yeah, let's take a look at the most common. These are these have been floating around for a while, and we see this mostly prevalent on Facebook. Um, it kind of waxes and wanes, and I know I just saw some just recently within the last month, and that is the Facebook posting of like this post because if you do, Bill Gates will donate $5 million to charity if we get to a certain level. Well, between you and me, the chances are Bill really doesn't need your like in order to donate to these charities because he does that.
He
He's a
does,
philanthropist and
yeah,
he'll do this at his own choosing.
he does it on a regular basis. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and there'll be the threat that if you break this chain, you know, it won't happen. By sharing that type of post to your wall, and then somebody that's within your Facebook community shares it to their wall, it could wreak havoc. They could embed all kinds of false links to scam pages, to all the way up to viruses that could just wreak havoc on your computer. So.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because that's what I was going to ask you. What is the motivation to do that? Because the way initially I see, okay, I could see somebody saying, "Hey, donate this to the Bill Gates Foundation, or donate this money. So when we reach a certain level of whatever money we're going to collect, Bill Gates will then come in and supplement that with his money." But other than let's leave the money out of the equation. So the real motivation here would be to send a virus or to scam and try to get a hold of whatever personal stuff you're doing. Is that right, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. They're asking you to retweet this or to like this on your Facebook page or share it on your Facebook page. Really, the creator of this chain letter is looking for contact information, and may not be specific personal contact information, but they're looking for an audience to market even more. Dishonest type of things, and we'll talk about that in one of the other topics. But they may be sending out false offers to not only just to you, but everybody else that you share this with. So it's a way that they're creating an audience for their false offers that'll be coming down the road, right?
Yeah, and um, really, it's astounding. And just as an aside, Rick, on this Facebook stuff, I notice a lot of people put their birth dates on these sites. Why on earth would you want to give somebody an ingredient like your birth date, which can be used to steal your identity? I have no clue as to why people do that. Because you'll get these little emails, that'll say, it's Joe Blow's birthday today. Wish Joe a happy birthday. Well, I don't know why you'd ever want to put your but just keep your birth date, your personal information off these sites. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, and on Facebook you can shield that. Part of the registration process is you have to enter that stuff in, but you don't have to publish it. The
Right.
date is fine, or the day of the month. I think that shows automatically, but for all just keep your private stuff out of there. Just don't publish the year, right?
Yeah, no, I think mine is completely blank. In fact, I'm almost sure of it. I made sure I went in there, so I think there is a way you can block it. But in any event, I've been hearing about this, these so-called cash grabs. Rick, are you familiar with that's kind of a scam?
Yeah, that one's you don't see that as prevalent as chain letters, but every once in a while you will see these cash grabs, and basically what they are, from a personal standpoint, what they are is you're reaching out to your social media audience, and whether or not they're an acquaintance, you know them or not, it works like this. The person sending the Facebook post will say, I'm on vacation, and I was on my way to the airport, and I was mugged, right? I lost everything, my cash, my credit cards, my tickets, and so they reach out for donations, basically, to get back home. Maybe they're in another country or something like that, and
Right.
they're reaching out to anybody to, to 5, 10, whatever the amount of money is, and basically they're fishing for suckers to fund their cause. And usually it's not a good one. It's self-serving. So
Yeah.
that's the type of thing. I know maybe you've seen some of this type of thing from a business aspect. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, it happens every now and then. But, I always tell people that if you can't verify something, and first of all, you should make the effort to verify whoever you're contacting or making contact with in business, by way of reputation and vet the business and the individual running the business. And if you can't do that, then that's a warning sign right there, because unfortunately in today's world, nothing operates on just a handshake. There's too many nasties out there who are going to try to take advantage of you. So
yeah. Here's the other thing too: is people reach out like this looking for money. What they'll do is, if they do find somebody who's willing to help them out in the same request, they'll say, "Well, send me your email, and I'll send you my Western Union information or my account information, so you can put this money in my account."
Right.
And typically included in that email is some kind of link, right?
Yeah.
Which could be some sort of malware that could infect your computer. So just really be wary of this.
It's interesting. You could really combine this if you're a really devious person, unlike you and I, Rick.
Right.
You could really hone in and say, okay, I not only want to get this person's money, but I want to send them a virus at the same time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times that's what happens. Just you find somebody who's just willing to help out. Maybe you know this person as a distant acquaintance, and you want to help them out. And next thing you know, your systems are infected and they're down, and you end up paying for it in the end.
You're down and out, and when you're down and out, your business loses money. That's the ultimate end there, and so it defeats everything that we're trying to prevent on this show. There's a few more, actually a lot more stuff we want to talk about in the remainder of the show. But let's talk. Let's have our commercial break now and talk about one of our sponsors, because it's tax season, as we know. And get out there, folks, and make sure you get your taxes squared away both business and personal taxes. Remember, by the way, that March 15th is when you have to file your taxes from a business standpoint if you have an S corporation like I do. But in any event, Maslin Associates, Sharon Maslin in particular, M-A-S-L-E-R, and her partner, Stephen Maslin, run Maslin Associates CPA firm, and they specialize in preparing tax returns for both small businesses and the individual, and even have some large corporate clients. But also the uniqueness of Maslin Associates, they are very, very, very astute in being able to, God forbid, represent you should the IRS come calling. And so they have a wide range. It's a boutique firm with a wide range of experience. So in other words, they concentrate solely on their clients without losing touch with them, without putting them in a big in the setting of a big monstrous firm where you just don't have personal contact. You got clientele who can talk directly to Steve and Sharon. So in any event, please contact Sharon if you need any kind of tax help, or if you need any help appearing before the IRS. And you can get a hold of Maslin Associates where, Rick?
Yeah, Sharon can be reached at Sharon@maslercpa.com. That's MASLER CPA.com, at 949-857-0404. They're located at 1 Jenner, that's Jenner, Suite 230 in Irvine, California, 92618. That's Sharon Maslin, MaslerCPA.com.
Thank you very much, Rick. Great. So back to the show. What's this stuff I always hear about, these quote-unquote hidden charges, Rick? What's that scam all about?
Oh yeah, that's another good one. And I think I remember the first time I saw something like this was for a what is it called? A zodiac site, right? Where you could look up your sign. Like, I'm a Cancer. So you look up your sign, and then there's a hook in there somehow that, hey, subscribe for this page for for free for the first 30, 60 days, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you start seeing these charges come up on your credit card, where you unwittingly subscribe for $9.95 or $19.95 a month, and it's really just a bait and switch type of scam that really thrives on social media sites. And one of the biggest things now is just because of the hype behind Star Wars is kind of the same thing, but it identifies which Star Wars character are you like, right? So they bait you by saying, take this quiz. All your friends have taken it, and then the next thing you know, you've subscribed unwittingly to a monthly charge that somehow hooked you into entering your credit card information, and then a lot of times you'll find that it's really hard to get out of because there's nobody to contact.
Well, what's interesting about what we've talked about so far, these chain letters, cash grabs, hidden charges, it could apply to and the thing I talked about the scam concerning looking for employment. This can affect employers, employees. It can affect small businesses, small business owners. It can affect people who are just on their own out there trying to do social media, even if their aim isn't to market on social media. So this is a wide gamut of individuals that these scams can affect. I want to make clear one thing that I think I spoke about briefly on another show, and that is from the small business standpoint, never degrade another business online, never degrade another individual online. If your comments are such that they reach the defamatory level, you could be sued for defamation of character, which could be libel. Because once you publish a defamatory comment to a third party, and believe me, there are a lot of third parties looking at the internet, then you have some litigation issues. So for our small business owners, any problems with suppliers, clients, anything like that, it's of course always wise to make sure you take the high road, and we've talked about that many times before. You know, never have I heard more than in recent times about the next topic we're going to talk about. And it's spelled, Rick, Phishing. Kind of an interesting way to spell this. But these types of things, these requests, if you will, are really, really prevalent, aren't they?
Oh, you see it all over the place. You see it on Twitter, especially on Facebook, and these are phishing requests. And basically, as the name implies, they're putting bait out there to see who they can take advantage of. And I'll give you an example of how this works. So somebody puts either a cool or some kind of enticing image on your Facebook wall, or shares it to your wall, and it says something like this: somebody just put up these pictures of you. Check them out here, right? And it may have your headshot, it may have some sort of shot that's representative of you. So you click on that link, and next thing you know, it leads you to a hidden page that's asking you to log in. And because of the way Twitter and Facebook are set up now, a lot of businesses use this technique to capture data. Not that it's wrong, but it's an easy way to market to them. These unscrupulous sites, though, however, will use the same tactic, and then they'll ask you to enter in your Facebook login information, Twitter login information, before you actually see where they're leading you to. And more often than not, it leads you to a fake landing page that really takes advantage of you. So I think the story here is, if you see something like this from somebody who posted to your page, you don't know who they are, just stay away. Avoid even going there, because it's probably some sort of phishing request like this.
Now, how does that differ from? And I don't know much about this because I never use it from a strictly social standpoint. I use Facebook for more when I do use it for advertisement purposes, advertising our show, things of that nature. But what's this Facebook poke all about? When somebody pokes you, or what's it called? It always blows my mind where you say, "Oh, you're some." What's the word they use when you're in a photo? When you're in a photo from somebody else, and they
you've been tagged, right?
Tagged and poked and prodded, and I feel like I've just went to the doctor's office, when I hear all that. I mean, what is?
Yeah.
How does that differ from what you just talked about, Rick? I mean, how do you know that's on the level?
I remember when Facebook first came out, and they had this feature on there. It's been on and off, and I think it's back on again. This ability to poke somebody, and basically you're just nudging them to reply back to you. So like I could send a poke to you, right? And basically all it says is Rick just poked you, right? And it's it's basically a tap on the shoulder. Hey, respond, right?
Okay.
So they're not asking for any personal information or Facebook information. A tag, on the other hand, too, is really something the same thing. They're just acknowledging that you're in the photograph. But where I do see this being abused a little bit is the tagging, is where you're tagged in somebody's photo where you're not even associated with them, right? Mm-hmm. And basically what that is a subtle phishing request to look at that photo of somebody else that may be in your Facebook following, mm-hmm. and they may want to see, oh, Bill's associated with this. Let me take a look. It could be just an innocent click on that photograph, and next thing you know, they're on some fake landing page with a fake offer, or worse yet, it could be to a porn site. Who knows? It could be anything like that.
Just remember, don't involve yourself in anything that asks you to go to another page. Number one, and don't involve yourself in anything that asks for your login information, because after all, if you're on Twitter and if you're on Facebook, why would you need to re-log in? If it's valid and genuine Facebook or Twitter material, you're already on there. If you get poked, you'll know it's legitimate because you're not going to be requested to provide any other information. And if you get poked too hard, call me and we'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, I think the lesson here is that if you are on another business page, even if it's a legitimate business page that you were referred to through Facebook, where they're asking you to log in or create a login, either a unique login or to use your Facebook login as a login to their site, just take the safe road and just create a new login for that specific site. Don't use your Facebook login to log into their site.
Yeah.
You know, they use it as a marketing, you know, the ability to pull your following into their circles, which is a great marketing tool, by the way. But just be safe, you know.
Just be wary of it, yeah. Well, let's finalize this interesting topic, Rick, by you know, something that's really bugged me for a while. This whole concept of hidden URLs. I mean, you know, you're clicking on shortened URLs, say that 3 times fast, huh? And you see them everywhere, but you never know where you're going to go. And URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Tell me a little bit about that, Rick, and how this all ties into our discussion today.
Yeah, so these URLs are typically will come from, let's say it's an article post, not from your primary domain. Like for me, it's r2visualstudios.com. It's wfblegalconsulting.com, right? So that's our landing page URL. But let's say that within somebody's website they have an article that they want to link to, but it's theircompany.com, and then this long strung out sentence that's just way too hard to remember because there's too many numbers, symbols, letters, you know, what have you. So what you have the ability to do in some platforms is to shorten that URL into maybe a 7-character.com, you know, type of URL, or something like that. Just make it easier so it doesn't fit. So, you know, it's not a paragraph long. The link's not a paragraph long. So
right.
it's a convenient thing, but at the same time, if somebody has sent you a phishing request or some kind of you know, cash grab type of you know, message, or even a chain letter, they can mask these things in a hidden URL, right? Into a very short URL, but there's an enticing offer in front of it. You're not sure exactly what it is, and most people, you don't even think twice about clicking on that URL to see where it's going to go to. So that's where you really have to be mindful that look at the source where you're getting this URL from. If it's somebody you don't know, geez, you know, be wary, because there could be spyware or viruses attached to this, and you know, that's the last thing you want to fall into is infecting your platforms.
Now, is these URLs, is the whole point of them, Rick, to place what's typically referred to as cookies in your computer? Is that, or am I off base there?
Yeah, it could. It could. It's a way of tracking, you know, who's clicking on these things, but more importantly, it leads to spyware and viruses. A lot of times, there's companies out there, reputable companies out there. Let's say they don't have a website, but they do blog, right? And they want to include these short links to their articles or to maybe a newsletter or something like that. There's a company. There's a number of companies. Bitly is one of them, right? Where you can take your long sentence URL and compress it down into this short little, you know, short little link, and then they'll track it for you. You know, so you know who's clicking on it, where the traffic's coming from, and all that stuff. But there are other ones there that are masked by enticing, almost like vanity URLs, right? That could lead to these spyware or virus platforms or situations where, geez, you know, it sounds innocent enough, but as soon as you click on it, you know, a couple hours later, your computer's going haywire. And it's like, where did that come from? You know, you have no idea.
Yeah. There's a lot out there to be careful of, and cautious of um, as your business is moving forward and trying to prosper. And there's people out there that want to stop it and try to prevent you from being successful just simply from the mere enjoyment of being evil or being nasty. So please be concerned about that. As we end the show today, I'm not going to take any time to really advertise my business other than to say that I want Rick to provide his information on where you can get a hold of Rick today, because I want you to be able to go to my new website, wfblegalconsulting.com, and see the new reinvent, if you will, that Rick did on my site. Great work. It's still, there's still some tweaks that need to be done as you move along. There always is. But the site is up and running, and it's all the work product of Rick Moscoso. So please go view that and take a look. He can do the same thing for you. So Rick, where can everyone get a hold of R2?
Yeah, you can get a hold of me at Rick at r2visualstudios.com or 949-667-1182. I really enjoyed helping Bill put together his new look, his new feel, and it's dynamic. He's got some sister sites that we're also going to implement into this theme to update the look and feel. But there's certainly, if anything, there's a lot of valuable content in there that Bill provides and he offers, and so I'll reciprocate the favor. And if anyone out there needs legal advice, legal help that Bill offers, then contact Bill at bill@wfblegalconsulting.com.
Right, and take a look at those videos on the site, because they're all Rick's work product. Every video you see there. Okay, so we'll see you again next week for another show. Rick, it's been great. Appreciate all your input on today's show. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, for another episode of the Bottled Business Sense Show, in order to help you prosper in your business and make sure it's protected as you move forward. So with that, we'll say goodbye and have a prosperous week, everybody. And Rick, take care. See you soon.
All right, Bill. We'll see you next week, and we'll see all our viewers next week here on the Bottled Business Sense Show. Take care.
Right. Okay.